Okay, so we're working down here. This is, I'm just going to continue my ranting a little bit because, well, frankly, because I can. We're over here today working on some trucks. I got some guys out in the yard. I have some time. It's lunchtime, so I went up and grabbed a sandwich. And I'm searching around on the tube again, and I started to feel a rant building again. Because again, I just feel the need that we need to illustrate that we need to kill, we need to stop, we need to get over this stupid think that we've got going. The whole world is full of stupid think, and the whole world is full of complete non-information. I searched long range or ELR or exterior ballistics, and there's just dozens and dozens of people over there using big words and phrases. Well, they're big to them because I don't want to badmouth anybody, but people, if you don't understand the phrase that you're using, if you're just parroting someone else's information, but you don't understand the subject matter, please do me a favor and don't stinking perpetuate it on the internet. Because stupid people, number one, don't hear what's being said. I'll give you an example of that. Dire Straits. Mark Knopfler, back in the 70s, 80s, he's doing his bit for social justice. He writes a gorgeous song pointing out that guy you're looking at and judging is not what you think. He may be better than you, he may be smarter than you, he may be cuter than you, he may be whatever these things are, but the point is, these judgments we make of people are most often wrong, number one, flawed. Number two, what gives us the right? Why are we so prone to judge? The line in question, just so that you know, and the funny thing is, the response around the world revolted me. He uses the term little faggot. And he's talking about the MTV generation, all the stuff we have, and he's pointing to this, the guy that you're calling a little faggot, and saying, that little faggot is a millionaire. Those of you who understand what I'm talking about understand the lyric, I'm sure. And they understand that what he was saying. Now, the result of that is the stupid people, the pussheads of this world. He's a faggot. He's a faggot. Not the religious bigots, not the religious right, not the people that don't like language on the tube. They didn't. They're like, well, faggot, that's yeah, whatever. But no, it was the feel-gooders, the do-gooders, the snowflakes, the no-brain people who said, he can't call that person a faggot. That's racist. Oh, it's not racist, people. It's making a point. And because of this, we've learned to, because the human condition is to inure ourselves to whatever conditions they are. People in concentration camps inure themselves to deprivation. To people in the military, our heroes that are over fighting under extreme conditions, become inured to rain, to sun, to heat, to cold. The human being is an incredibly tough and resilient thing. And it can adapt to conditions. Well, one of the things that our brain does is it adapts to conditions to where it just starts sorting and filtering and getting rid, and it produces a set of non-think. Instead of questioning our reality, we just let it drift over us. We let it ride over us. And this is what I have to do my best to just stop in the bud. And here's the way it works. Some goozer on the tube wants to sound impressive, wants to get views, wants to get smart, whatever he wants. I don't care what he wants. The point is, he goes out and gabbles on about stuff, and the impression is he gives you the impression that he understands this stuff, but you really wouldn't, because you're stupid. No, he doesn't say that you're stupid. I do. I use words like stupid and idiot because they're euphemisms. And euphemisms, these are euphemisms that have become negative, like discrimination. Discrimination's not negative. So, I use these euphemisms advisedly. I overuse the word awesome sometimes advisedly, because things lose their meaning through repetition. So, I'm going to tell you about ballistics. Not from some smart guy standpoint that you can never understand this, and I'm going to use terms that, and it's called baffling with bullshit. I'm sorry. If you can't blind them with your brilliance, baffle them with your bullshit. And I've been exposed to it my whole life, and I'm the guy that goes, hey, wait, dude, listen. I hire engineers. The only teachers that I listen to are those that can explain to me, a layman. One of the hardest questions I ever had, I told you in another video about a rich woman coming into my gun store one time to see how we people live. And one of the things that came up was fishing. I fished a lot. And I told her as how fishing, and she looked at me and she said, what's fun about that? And I'm like, hey lady, I don't know. I have no idea what's fun about this. Oh, this is a big one, guys. We got a real beauty here. I don't know, but I love it. I don't have to obsess about the why of things as far as their utility to me as entertainment. But if I'm going to go spend money on things like guns, on ballistics, buying an extreme long-range system based on somebody's ballistics, then I need to find somebody, and you and we need people who can explain ballistics to us. Because although we might not know why we do things, we are perfectly and fully equipped to understand things just as much as anybody else if we're willing to. There's always a huge segment of the population that just wants to be told the facts. I don't want to understand this, just tell me the facts. Okay, that's not me. But don't ever, ever tell me that I can't understand the facts because I'm too stupid, because you can't lower yourself to my level to teach me why ballistics. In fact, I have personally spoken with every living ballistician that I can think of, that I know of, and some who are dead. I spent a lot of time with Harold Vaughn, who understood his ballistics. And I asked Harold things from a layman's perspective, and he explained them to me. In, how do I say this? In simple terms. Because there are no, until you start applying to the math the thing and proving it, there are no hard to understand things in this world. You want to know how a rocket works? Newton's laws from way back in the day. You make an explosion, and then you bleed some of it outside. And the ship goes the other way. That's it. That's all of it, people. That is the entire, you don't need to know any more of it. And that's how, when I talk about muzzle brakes, you take that same ship, it bleeds ejecta out the side, produces an acceleration this way. We can talk about these terms. The terms are interesting. And an acceleration can be up or it can be down. It can be positive or it can be negative. We normally think that a bullet is slowing down, so we call it deceleration. Well, that's still an acceleration. Just like we talk about heat, we talk about things and we make them relevant. But by making them relevant, typically what we're doing is simply putting them into our time frame, our world frame, our temperature frame, our frame of reference. So understand that an acceleration is an acceleration is an acceleration is an acceleration, whether it's going up or whether it's going down. It's a change in velocity, a change in, but I can say a change in speed, and I can get away with it because there are no scientists here. And the ones that are giggling, and they're perfectly welcome to look at me and go, hey, not bad. Or look at me and say, well, you got this wrong. Well, if I got this wrong, let me know. But don't ever, ever, ever let me catch me telling you you're too stupid to understand this. So again, I had to get in here and get this rant going because I needed to make a note to myself. I'm going to explain some ballistics. And I'm going to explain them in terms that you can understand because nice people, good people took the time to explain to me. None of them are still alive. So far, all I've managed to do with the living ballisticians that I've dealt with is argue with them because they think. I could show you the articles where they're trying to rewrite the laws of ballistics. And it's laughable. It is so ludicrous. I've also noticed that since the inner tube came out, every year or two, some, and I'm going to use the term again, some puss bucket kid, some non-thinker, comes out and tries to rewrite the universal laws of physics. They try to question Einstein. And so the news, the clickbait, the thing that you see is so-and-so from such and such university rewrites the laws of physics. Well, I'm sorry, it's never happened. Somebody comes out and says, oh, we've got a better idea of how the whole light particle thing works. The particle wave, mass, no mass, infinite velocity. How does it get its velocity back after passing through a medium where it lost its velocity? These are great questions, people, but don't come out here and diss on Einstein. But till you got something better. I said in another video, there's no new tech. Well, that's the truth. And we have this propensity to try to knock down the giants. I can't count the number of times. I mean, if you're a country star, a country music listener, 20 years ago, Dolly Parton covered Stairway to Heaven, an old Led Zeppelin song. Everybody's like, oh, she did it better than Zeppelin. No, she did not do it better than Zeppelin, you idiot. Covering a Pink Floyd song and doing it better than Floyd is not doing it better than Floyd. They friggin' wrote the thing, all right? They conceived it. Roger Waters conceived it in that head bone of his, and he put it together, and with his people, he put it on paper. Led Zeppelin made an iconic song. Mark Knopfler wrote some iconic songs, and then the pus buckets come in. What was he saying there? What did he mean by that? What's his message? Generally, people who are smart enough to write a song and be successful in a band are smart enough to say things that require some thought, some forethought. So this thing is about regaining that ability to weed through the drivel, the crap. Find out where to get your information, where to get good information, and how to weed out the good from the bad. This is really hard. I talked earlier in one of the other videos about asking the right question. It's hard to ask the right questions, but we can all do it. We all learn. Any one of us has a job. When I got into construction, I was the dumbest guy on the crew. Year after year, people are like, how can you live being the dumbest guy on the crew? How could you live asking these stupid questions about things that every 14-year-old who grew up in a construction environment, whose dad and granddad and great-granddad were concrete workers, knows this because he grew up with his hands in concrete. I'm sorry. I grew up fishing. No, I grew up milking cows. But none of these things are important. It makes no difference what my background is. Because nobody could explain what they did and why they did it, in construction, I learned it on my own. I learned through observation and then application. I ended up buying the company and applying a lot of my ideas, and thereby made the company, changed the tenor of the company. Let's just put it that way. It went from what it was to something totally new that works for me. Neither good nor bad, nor up nor down, nor better nor worse. That's not the point. The point is simply that this continued barrage of people thinking for you, telling you what things mean, and by the same token planting this seed in your mind that you're too stupid to figure this out, so here, let me explain. Or pure, simple, most of the YouTube stuff is but ignorance coupled with insecurity and a need to bolster one's self-esteem, the YouTube person, by burbling out stuff and making themselves look. They'll write down, I see these big masses of mass. I see these formulae all written out on a piece of paper, and they're set off to the side, and the guy pulls them, and pretty soon the camera pans down, and there's all this stuff that they got out of a book that they don't understand at all. I'm not even going to share the terms with you because that would be almost pointing fingers at people for these terms. But trust me, you don't need terms. A bullet is a fast rock. A bullet, because it's spin stabilized like a top, like a spinning top, sitting on a surface, it has to balance on whatever it feels. That's it. It goes through the air like a fish goes through the water. A fish goes through the water in a river or in the water. It has to be moving. That's unlike a bullet, because the fish must be moving to keep water flowing over its gills, through its mouth and over its gills. That's its aeration procedure. Just like we have to keep breathing. But a fish must always go this way, because if it turns sideways in the current, or if it just relaxes, it tumbles. This is what bullets do too. A fish is swimming up the river, and if it just arbitrarily loses stability, anybody who's been around fishing long enough, especially if they've been out here in the salmon and steelhead country where fish go up and die and come tumbling back down the river, you'll see what an unstable fish looks like coming back down through the water. Well, bullets are no smarter than fish. And again, they must be, but they can't see the wind. They can't do anything but feel what they feel. So they're crashing forward into this wind. I'm just going to start this discussion now, and I'll come back. I might even make some notes for like the first time, because I might do some numbers, but I promise you, I'm not going to bore you with a whole bunch of... The technique is so simple, and it kills me. I'll talk to you, I'll use a big phrase, and then I'll pan the camera down and I'll show you the big old long dissertation here in mathematical terms that you can't understand. I'll flash on it just long enough that you could take a screenshot of it and then study it and then go to a book. But know that the implication is this is the stuff that backs up what I'm telling you. Well, in a sense it does, but that doesn't mean that the person purporting to give you the information understands it. And then you take a term that has various meanings like aerodynamic jump, and you apply it to this and you apply it to that, and everybody nods and bobs and says, oh, thank you so much for imparting that great information. I'm such a better shooter now. I've used the term once earlier in this video and I'm going to use it again. Bullshit. So I'm here to put this in terms that all of us can sit down and understand, so thereby all of us can continue on this road toward better long-range accuracy. So, rant off for a little while, and I'm going to head back out. I got a guy buzzing me here. Evidently they got the fuel system working on one of the trucks, so back to the old grind.